Are you feeling permanently priced out of this housing market? With interest rates going up to 5% or over 5%, and inventory still remaining really, really low, so prices aren't going down. I know a lot of you only have hopes of a crash to be able to afford a house. So I want to go over some things that, if there's no crash, you could do to make housing more affordable. And there are 10 things that I've come up with that I want at least for you to be thinking about, even if they make you a little bit uncomfortable, because we don't know exactly where housing is going to head. We do know that interest rates are going to go up. We're pretty, sure of that in the next year, to 2022, of course, and 2023. We know that prices at least are predicted to pretty much stay where they are or increase a little bit in 2022 and 2023. The question mark really is, how high will interest rates have to go so many people get out of the market that prices have to come down? And I don't know if we know exactly where that is yet and how high they will go. So I want you to have some other options if it doesn't look like prices are dropping in the future. All right, so here's my list of 10. And please put any comments about this list. If you have other things that you've been considering, please add those to the comments as well. So let's talk about my 10. Number 1 is moving further out. And I've said this a lot over the last year and a half about getting out of your comfort zone and moving farther out. And this, I know, is not an option for everyone who may have some limitations due to their job and where they need to be located. But with more people being able to work remotely, that you probably do need to look and say, okay, if I have some flexibility either through remote work, or if I have some flexibility with not having to go into the office as often, how far from the major city in your area are you willing to move and still be comfortable? You have to at least investigate that. And I will have a USDA official that I'm going to be speaking with and doing an interview with all about USDA loans, and they're 100% financing, and he's going to talk to us about building a house on our own land using a USDA loan. So please stay tuned, subscribe for that information. Number 2 is multi-generational living. So getting a house that allows at least 2 incomes in one house. So whether that's moving in with your parents, or maybe moving a grandparent in that has income coming in, so you have more income into that one mortgage. And if that means buying a house with a in-law suite, or buying a house with a just additional living area, most of the times you want something at least with 2 kitchen areas so they can, we don't have to share that space. Or you can just get a larger house where everybody doesn't feel like they're on top of each other. I did a video about multi-generational living as an option for a lot of families that even need the support of, childcare and that sort of thing, or, just older people needing that support to be around younger people in their family. This is something you may want to look into, is multi-generational living, to help with some of the expenses of housing. Number 3, and I don't talk about these a lot, but tiny homes. And I know depending on where you live, this may or may not be an option for you, because some cities still have minimum square footage in that area. But tiny homes are going to become more popular as traditional single family homes become more and more expensive. I like tiny homes for definitely for retirees who have, relatives with either their children or other relatives that already have a property and can perhaps put their tiny home on their land if it's allowed. Because a lot of seniors have been contacting me lately because they were renting and now their rent is going up and they're on a fixed income, but they have children with homes. that they still want a separate space. They don't want to necessarily live with their children, but these tiny homes could be an option for them to have still a private space away from the main house. But if there's not that much stability, like foundation and all that kind of stuff with a tiny home, sometimes depending on how they're built, and is it just a shed in your yard, or does it have a foundation? It gets a little bit more complicated. I want to do a separate video on it. And you have access to utilities and that sort of thing, but you always could leave the tiny home and go into the main home, say that there was a tornado or something that you needed needed a little bit more space or a little bit more security. I like that idea. If there's a primary home already on the land, that's why I like tiny homes, or if there is an area that tiny homes make sense. But that's a whole nother video. But you may want to look into the zoning ordinances for tiny homes in your area. Number 4, fixer-uppers. As much as I have talked about 203K loans being very complicated and not having a lot of contractors right now that want to do them, I'm still a fan, and I say this if you watch my 203K videos, and I'll link those below, I'm still a fan of this mortgage type. I know that they are difficult, however. So 2 types of fixer-uppers that I think you should be looking at. You should be looking at the cosmetic fixer-uppers, where it's just carpet, paint, you may be a little bit of updating, and then a 203K is a little bit more extensive. I wouldn't say you could have a big 203K loan, like a limited 203K loan, which is usually less than $35,000 in repairs or renovations. So it's not like moving walls, but you do have that option because there are a lot of, when I say fixer-uppers, they may not be a total rehab, but they just need a little bit of updating. And you could put some appliances in that. You can redo a kitchen in that. You can do some of the small things in those limited 203K options. They also have a large 203K where you can do a full rehab, but I just think those are more difficult for first-time home buyers to manage sometimes. But at least be knowledgeable about a 203K, and maybe, if this is one of the options that you may need to consider based on where you fall in your budget. Number 5, and again, this is a list of 10, buy where you are currently renting. If you have a land, like if you're renting a house, a townhouse, condo, if you're renting from a private owner and they haven't approached you about, rent increases and that sort of thing, you may just want to reach out to them and say, are you interested in selling? And see what that looks like ahead of time, because they may be thinking of selling and they don't think that you have the means, or maybe that you're not interested in buying it. So at least reach out to see, if the homeowner is interested in selling their property, and maybe you can, avoid it going on the market. Maybe you can get a good price since you're already there, but that could be an option for you to buy where you're currently renting. Okay, halfway through the list, please like and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. Number 6, getting a roommate. And this is even, so say you bought a house and it's you're like, I just want to make sure in this economy that I'm really watching my money and watching my budget. When I bought my first house, I was by myself. I wasn't married yet. And back then, I think my mortgage was $880 a month. And I got a roommate because I had a 4-bedroom house. I was by myself. And I said, well, if I can get one of like my college friends or whatever to rent a room for me, I can basically charge them half and save all of that money. So I did have a roommate. It didn't last very long. I think I did it for like 6 months, because after that I got engaged, got married, and that sort of thing. But it really did help like cut my bills in half at the time. So if you either, you're buying a house and prices are still going up, and you have a lot of people are single buying homes, you may want to consider getting a roommate, because a lot of people, their rent is going up as well, and they can't afford their apartments. And so they may be able to save money by living with you. So in order just to save money, consider getting a roommate to help you pay your mortgage in your home. Number 7 is go smaller than you originally anticipated. So I know a lot of families, particularly, were looking for larger homes. So you maybe wanted 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms, and you wanted a room for every child and that sort of thing. But maybe you need to look in order to stay in your budget with higher interest rates and higher home prices, that you go to a smaller house, maybe fewer bedrooms, maybe not a basement as you anticipated, and just be more creative with that space. So that's one option that you at least want. If you've only been looking at 5-bedroom homes, maybe you go down one and say, okay, I'm willing to look at a 4-bedroom house as long as it has. So like put down your deal breakers, like it has to have a yard, it has to have this, but maybe you reduce the amount of rooms that you want. For example, I know a lot of people traditionally want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. But you could save money if you possibly did a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, or if you did a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, those types of things. So you want to at least look outside of your initial criteria, because you may find that other things may open up for you that you weren't anticipating, or maybe a 3, 1.5. So you have a bathroom for the guest bedroom, and then you have another bedroom. But once you start eliminating like bathrooms, bedrooms, you can save a lot of money in the entire house price. All right, number 8. Moving to another state. This is something that I've also mentioned. People are already doing it clearly, especially in the warmer climates. I'm in Georgia, but Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, all of these states are really going up dramatically in value. A lot of people are moving from more expensive states to less expensive southern areas. So I want you to look at moving to another state. I've told this story if this is the first time you're hearing this, but I'm originally from the Bronx, and we moved to Atlanta when I was in the 8th grade. And primarily because the home values were so expensive, and this is a while ago, but it was still very expensive in comparison to incomes to buy a house in New York. So left New York, came down, my mom left New York, came down to Atlanta, and was able to buy a house after a year living in Atlanta. So, and that's something that she may have not been able to do if she stayed in New York. So I want you to consider, if it's not too crazy, and I tell you, if you're like one of the first people in your family to leave your state, just like my mom was, you'll find like later, pretty much everybody like her brothers and sisters also moved out of New York after like a few years or so. Number 9, building a house on your own land. I've done a video about building a house on your own land. So to make it more clear as to what you need to do to get started on something like this. And I also will have, like I said, USDA has a USDA loan for building a house on your own land, and those are 0 down, so no down payment on USDA. So I want you to wait for that video. I want you to watch this video to see if this is an option for you. And number 10 is down payment assistance, and I'm going to give you a bonus too, since you stayed this far. Down payment assistance program. So even if you feel like you have your down payment, you have enough money, consider or double check to see if you can qualify for any down payment assistance that might help you pay some points or buy down your rate. And that, you can use the money in other ways. So if you already have your down payment, it could be that you could use your down payment money in other ways to help you better afford the higher interest rates on some of these properties if you qualify for the down payment assistance. Some down payment assistance programs don't want to see you with that much in assets, but it's something you at least should look into to see if, okay, instead of using all of my money for the down payment, could I be using some of this money to buy down my rate so I can get a lower interest rate over the long term of that purchase. Just something to look at or something to consider. Number 11, this is going to be my bonus, and I've done a video on this before, is representing yourself. So if you've ever had any interest in real estate, you could represent yourself, use that money again towards your down payment or to defer some of the costs. It may not be a whole bunch of money, but you know, you can average maybe about 2 to 3% that you would earn in commission that you could use toward the home purchase, and maybe you'll have like a new career out of it as well. So just something to think about. I did a video about representing yourself, and you know how you can use that money toward your down payment, or you can just use that money as your commission. That's what I'm speaking about. You can use your commission toward, you know, just building up your savings and that sort of thing. All right, I hope this list was helpful. I will keep you updated on home prices, home values, interest rates. But if you have, again, any ideas of what you can be doing to make home ownership still a reality for you, please put that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week.